I'm excited to share a little bit about our artist books at the Smithsonian Institution. I realize that in talking about institutional collecting at the Smithsonian, I'm talking about a massive, amorphous octopus with our 19 research centers, 21 libraries, and the largest museum complex in the world, which is kind of an impossible task. So I'd like to give a basic overview of how artist books fit into the whole institution, but focus more on what I know best, which is the collecting of artist books in my part of the octopus, the Smithsonian Libraries. Whether their core mission relates to history, culture, or science, every museum and research unit at the Smithsonian also collects art. From examples of teeny tiny stamp art at the National Postal Museum, to the giant murals of stars and planets on the walls of the National Air and Space Museum, to those you usually think of, art at the National Portrait Gallery or the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden. Art infuses all parts of the Smithsonian Institution, which means we have the wonderful ability to use art in so many different ways and to look at art through many different lenses. Some of these museums also collect artist books, but usually as an extension of practice for an artist they collect in other forms. For example, the American Art Museum has a large collection of Joseph Cornell shadow boxes and his works on paper. And they also have his artist book, Maria, seen here, which he published himself in an edition of 100, using his typical collage elements. Another work here is by Ghanaian artist Atta Kwame, which is just one of several examples of his artwork in the collection of the National Museum of African Art. It is an artist book honoring his mother and using the story of Anansi the spider. You can see that the binding resembles a spider itself. There are other amazing representative examples in our museums, but they number maybe a few dozen, because for the most part, the museums of the Smithsonian have not typically collected deeply in artist books, which is where the Smithsonian Libraries come in. I see the libraries as the true home for artist books at the Smithsonian. And with our sisters at the National Gallery of Art and the Library of Congress, we are one of the 3 largest federal repositories collecting these on behalf of the American people. You're welcome. There are 21 libraries in all fields of the Smithsonian and 5 branches that collect artist books specifically. Between these great libraries, we have a growing collection of artworks in book form, numbering well over 1,000. In its basic form, for us, artist books are works of art, like paintings or sculptures, but they use the elements of the book as inspiration. We collect conceptual and traditional examples, artworks created on a Xerox machine in unlimited runs, and also unique works undertaken with extreme care and attention to detail. And it might be important to point out what we do not collect. We generally do not collect examples of livre d'artiste or fine press as artist books, though many of these do live in our special collections alongside our rare books. The same is the case for artist illustrated books. They come into the collection, but not as artist books. We also don't actively collect zines, though many other museums and libraries do. And lastly, we aim for representation. In my case, in telling the American story through art, but we can't be completist. By representation, I mean interesting examples of paper or experiments with type and binding or diverse subject matter, if there is subject matter, and a range of voices. But while I would love to boast that we have the largest collection, we just don't have the budget or the space. So we have to be careful in purchasing and even in accepting donations. Each branch of the Smithsonian Libraries has a specific focus, which correlates to their artist books collection. So the Library of the Cooper Hewitt collects examples with top-notch design elements, like paper engineering and pop-ups, like this magnificent Julie Chen. The African Art Library focuses on artist books that are by African artists or are about Africa. The Hirshhorn Library is strong in examples by artists also featured in the museum's modern and contemporary art collection, as in this Sol LeWitt example. And the Dibner Library maintains a small collection that was almost completely commissioned for the library. All works by leading book artists inspired by the historic Heralds of Science texts in the Dibner Rare Book Collection. The branch library that I manage and collect for, the American Art and Portrait Gallery, is a hybrid of art and history, supporting the curatorial work of 3 robust units in our deep collection of research material on American art, portraiture, and biography. Our artist book collection today also reflects those areas. Like many libraries, it has grown in spurts, and as the librarian has been lucky enough to find precious funds, or come across something truly magical, or has been the recipient of a generous donation of a work by an artist or a collector. Many of us grow these collections through attending book fairs, finding new things online via dealers, presses, or social media, or by welcoming artists themselves to our libraries to show off their work. So what do the Smithsonian libraries do with their artist books? Librarians use artist books to support research. We enhance exhibitions, presentations to public, school, or donor groups, and we use them for outreach in our events and our social media presence. Artist books are often included in museum exhibitions, and the libraries have curated several shows, such as the Dibner's 1996 exhibition, Science and the Artist Book, at the National Museum of American History, which explored how science can serve as a springboard for artistic creation. More recently, the National Museum of African Art hosted Artist Books of Africa in 2016. Since artist books are not normally associated with African art, this exhibition was a first for the Smithsonian to introduce the genre and survey its African manifestations. In addition, this exhibition website has a great video that you can view from home. It is linked in our website that I'll share at the end. We also collect to support research at the institution. For example, at the Hirshhorn Library, acquiring a work by an artist who is in the museum's collection creates strength through depth, which is something core to the very founding of their collection by Joseph Hirshhorn, who was known for going into an art gallery and buying up an artist's entire show just so he had it all. It allows a full picture of an artist's oeuvre, and bonus, when an artist's work enters the Smithsonian libraries, unlike at the museums, we allow people to touch them. But artist books also meet curatorial trends, and they distinguish the Smithsonian Library's collection from many other libraries in the modern and contemporary art field. Burgeoning research is also incredibly important to the Smithsonian, such that we support hundreds of fellows every year across the institution. Fellows in the libraries and art museums often consult artist books in their research. In particular, the fluxus and conceptual works of the 1960s and 70s. And just last year, we hosted a PhD candidate in her study on contemporary poetry and artist books. And in my time pulling her box after box of our artist books, she actually inspired me to acquire a work she had written about, as it was such a lovely fit for our collection at the American Art and Portrait Gallery. You can see it here, the homage to Allen Ginsberg. In addition to these reasons to growing and maintaining our artist books collections, they are also just such an interesting subject to engage with, and our librarians love working with them, showing them off, and blogging about them. I hope I've been able to convey the wide range of artist books we have, and how we continue to build on the collection through acquisition, research, and dissemination. Anyone can learn more about artist books in our collections on the Smithsonian Library's website. And when we've kicked COVID-19 and can be open again, you can make an appointment to come see them in person.